Are gonna get crazy.
Most everyone's mad here.
And it begins now. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing? I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I know I definitely had a good time, a pretty busy weekend, though. But I am glad that I could finally go and start fresh as we are getting closer and closer and closer to the holidays. But not... Oh, well, exactly, King Cerulean. Thank you so much with that subscription, by the way. But not only are we getting closer to the holidays, but also we are getting closer to award season. And this episode will be mostly about that. It's all gonna be, or mostly gonna be, about the awards, considering that there have been significant announcements that have been made, including today as I am recording this. So we will be looking at them one by one and be discussing about what's going to be going on with the nominations, with the events that happen in there. And for sure, we are all gonna have a good time. And thank you, TK, for that subscription as well. Oh, and already it looks like a hype train might start if more of these could happen. All right, so with all that said and done, I would like to go to the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me go and hear it, folks. Are you all ready? Okay, let's see now. Yes, right. Okay, I see people are prepared. That is wonderful to see. All right, so I think we're all ready to go and begin this. So, with all that said and done, let's go ahead and get this one started. And with our first story that we have for you today, well, this was honestly something that admittedly I almost forgot about. You know, I was just like working on my own stuff, and it was at one point, actually it was this morning, that I woke up, did my usual things, get breakfast, ready to go and start the day. And then I saw the announcements that suddenly this happened, and I was like, oh yeah, that is still a thing. So without further ado, let's go and begin our story. Oh, and by the way, yes, I did receive a new haircut, considering that we are getting closer to the holidays, and I do need to prepare myself. And while I can't really have my big poofy hair, gotta go and look good when the festivities begin and when Santa will be coming down my chimney. But anyways, with all that said and done, we're not here to talk about my hair. We are here to talk about the Golden Globes. Yes, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association has officially revealed the nominees for the 80th Golden Globe Awards. And unlike last year, they are actually going to be coming back to be live and to be televised, specifically on NBC, which will happen on January 10th. And we do have an interesting list of nominees here, and I'm just going to go into some of the main ones, and I'll start off with the television category. And in here, it states that the nominees for Best TV Drama include Better Call Saul, The Crown, House of the Dragon, Ozark, and Severance. Meanwhile, Best TV Musical or Comedy include Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Hacks, Only Murders in the Building, and Wednesday. Oh, and might as well go and include Best Limited or Anthology Series or Television Film, in which, oh, well, thank you, JF. Oh, actually, it's a, it's a gifted sub. All right. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Yes, Best Limited or Anthology Series include Blackbird, Dahmer, Monster, The Jeffrey Dahmer Story, The Dropout, Pam and Tommy, and The White Lotus. Meanwhile, in terms of feature films, Best Motion Picture Drama includes Avatar: The Way of Water, Elvis, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Top Gun: Maverick. Meanwhile, Best Motion Picture Musical or Comedy include Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, and Triangle of Sadness. And by the way, in terms of the records of who has the most nominations, at least in terms of the movies, it looks like The Banshees is already leading that, where The Banshees of Inisherin has 8 nominations. Then following afterwards, we have Everything Everywhere at Once that has 6 nominations. Babylon and The Fabelmans have 5 nominations each. And Elvis, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and Tar each have 3 nominations. But speaking of the nominations over here, speaking of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio specifically, what we are going to primarily be focusing on is going to be the animated nominations. And so, the nominees for Best Animated Feature at the 80th Golden Globe Awards are Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Inuo, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, and finally Turning Red. And also, just to add, considering that I did mention that Pinocchio did receive 3 nominations, the other categories in which Pinocchio was nominated is Best Original Score, which was provided by Alexander Desplat, and also for Best Original Song, where it is nominated with Ciao Papa. And for Best Original Score, by the way, the other nominations there include The Banshees of Inisherin, Women Talking, Babylon, and The Fabelmans, where Best Original Song also includes Carolina by Taylor Swift for Where the Crawdads Sing, Hold My Hand by Lady Gaga and Michael Tucker for Top Gun: Maverick, Lift Me Up by Ludwig Göransson, Rihanna, Ryan Coogler, and Temilade Openiyi, I hope I say that name right, from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Natu from RRR. So that's pretty much all the categories, or the big main categories to go and talk about here. And I will say, with the list that they have over here, honestly, I can see why each of these would be nominated, and I definitely do agree with most of them. Well, okay, I won't necessarily say most of them. What I meant to say is that I have seen most of these, actually. Like I've definitely seen Pinocchio, Puss in Boots, and Turning Red. Admittedly, I have yet to see Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, but I think at this point I probably should, considering that Marcel has become a pretty prominent contender now on award season, where there have been some critics' choices where they would actually give that one Best Animated Feature. So I would need to go and keep an eye out for that. And then there is Inuo, and that's one thing I will say I'm actually pretty surprised about with this list, is the fact that technically we have not 1, but 2 independent animated features that are being represented at the Golden Globes. And Inuo, I have heard about it from time to time with G-Kids, but I haven't fully seen it myself. But at this rate, if Inuo is going to be a big name, and if it's going to be a massive competitor during award season, just like what we've seen here, then yeah, maybe that might be another one that I have to go and give a shot to actually go and check out. Especially like if it got nominated at the Golden Globes, maybe there is a chance that it would be nominated at the Oscars. But I think it is safe to say here that, well, from all of these, from the 5 that are nominated, we know what's going to win. And oh, holy crap, it looks like a hype train has already begun. Oh, great. Oh, boy, oh, boy. But anyways, as I was saying, the thing is with Best Animated Feature, when we do look into the entire list, I think it's pretty easy to go and predict what's going to be Best Animated Feature. I mean, among all of them, Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio that will come out as the winner, especially with the fact that it is the only animated film on this list that has multiple nominations, not just for Best Animated Feature, but also for Best Original Score and Best Original Song. So I think it's going to be a guaranteed there where Pinocchio is going to come out as the winner, unless there might be some weird and crazy surprise, because the Golden Globes has done that before. You probably remember for like the 2019 movies where like you got Klaus and Toy Story 4 just duking it out for all the awards. Suddenly Missing Link came in and grabbed the Golden Globe unexpectedly, so much so that even the filmmakers were rather shocked, like, wait, why am I here? Why are you giving me this trophy? We made Missing Link. We're not the Pixar movie. So there is that possibility that there might be like a big upset, and maybe the winner could turn out to be either Turning Red or Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. But for now, it looks like Pinocchio has the strongest chance of winning here, at least for Best Animated Feature. I don't know if I could say the same, however, when it comes to the musical categories that it is also nominated. Like Best Original Score, for example. Now, I will say that I really do like the score. Like, it is very nice. Even to this day, I still really like listening to the to Carlo's theme. That little piece of music right there, it's like, it's like, I could tell it's like, strangely enough, very heartfelt. Like, you can actually hear the heart of the movie in that little piece of soundtrack. So I could definitely see how it got nominated, but still, though, it is going to be in some pretty tough competition, especially when you got John Williams, who is also nominated here for his score in The Fabelmans. So honestly, when it comes to Alexander Desplat's chances here, it's going to be a little bit iffy. But then there is also Best Original Score. And while, yes, it's nice that it did get nominated, I don't know if I could really see it actually winning, per se, especially when there are also some other songs that are major tough competitors. Like, you already got some that are from big name stars. Like, you got a Taylor Swift song that's nominated with Carolina. But honestly, I think out of all of these here, I can already immediately guess right now that the one who may have the strongest chance would have to be Lift Me Up, especially with its connection with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And it's not just because that this is a Marvel song and it's from a big name Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, but you also have to keep in mind this is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. This is Marvel's biggest tribute to Chadwick Boseman. And especially with a song like Lift Me Up, it's meant to go and reflect that as well. So, at least in my opinion, I feel like Lift Me Up will have will probably have a bigger chance than most of the other songs here, including Ciao Papa, because of that heartfelt message, because of that aspect that is meant to be a tribute to Chadwick Boseman. And also, like, I'm just going to say this right now. I'm going to reserve my judgment until there fully is, until, like, we get the Oscar nominations. And so far, it looks like Guillermo del Toro and the crew at Netflix, they're really going to go and use Ciao Papa to be their big award-nominated song. I don't know, like, I'm just gonna say now, I don't really think Ciao Papa is the best choice here. Now, honestly, it is a good song. Like, yeah, it is nice as is. And I do understand the entire context of, like, oh, this is supposed to be, like, very reminiscent of Pinocchio's relationship with Geppetto and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, for me, I feel like a better choice would have been Better Tomorrows. Like, you probably know the, like, if you have seen Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which is on Netflix right now, you probably do recall the song during the credits. It's a pretty lengthy song, but it's the one sung by Ewan McGregor, aka Sebastian the Cricket, where he would play that song. Honestly, for me, I feel like that one had stronger potential to be nominated, especially when it's, like, lively. It's a lot more fun. and definitely more memorable than Ciao Papa, at least in my opinion. And I know it's a bit of a hot take, honestly, but I feel like there's less chance for Pinocchio winning Best Original Song because they didn't put their best song forward. Like, yeah, again, I understand the personal aspect. I understand like the message of it all, but again, should have probably gone with something else like Better Tomorrows. But yeah, either way though, like regardless of the chances for the musical categories, for me, I feel like the best chance that it has of actually walking away with a Golden Globe is with Best Animated Feature. But also, one thing that I will state, like if I can put in an extra commentary, is that considering that this is the best that Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio can do amongst the nominations that it did get, I think honestly, it will reflect towards this could reflect towards the Oscars, where it's not going to be as much of a big contender as we would hope for, because you probably do recall in terms of what Netflix wants to do with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, they really want this to be like a massive deal, so much so that they've actually been promoting this to be nominated for Best Picture, not just for Best Animated Feature, but legit to be a Best Picture film. But this year, however, if this is an indicator, I feel like honestly, award shows are primarily going to be focusing on the ones that are from big name directors, or the live action films that are from big name directors, you know, like especially when you do look at the best director category, you'll find that a lot of them are like prominent recognizable names, like some of the first people that you think of in terms of film directors out there. Like you got James Cameron with Avatar: The Way of Water, you got Baz Luhrmann with Elvis, you got Steven Spielberg with the Fabelmans. So honestly, and like it's even like reflected upon like right over here with their best motion picture categories. Like you got the James Cameron movie, you got the Baz Luhrmann movie, you got the Steven Spielberg movie, like and even like on the musical and comedy, like you got the Ryan Johnson movie. Like I don't know, it feels like a lot of these are surrounded by like big name directors, and those ones are going to end up having higher priority than the animated film. Yes, technically, like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio would count on that list as well, considering that it is from a prominent director like Guillermo del Toro. But because it is an animated feature, unfortunately, award shows still have a bit of that prejudice towards animated films. So unfortunately, it won't have that much of a chance. Now, maybe there could be a massive surprise, and maybe the Oscars will actually give a Best Picture nomination for Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. But if this is an indicator for anything, then it could probably be unlikely. But I will say this, one thing that I find interesting is actually amongst the actor categories, considering that it looks like we got a wide variety. Like it's not just filled with the ones that are like nominated for like Best Picture with either drama or musical comedy. Like you got a whole bunch of different actors from like many different movies in which their only nomination comes from like the actors and actresses category. Like you got Brendan Fraser, who is nominated for The Whale. I think that in itself is already a massive win. Like seeing Brendan Fraser's name to be nominated like this, like that right there, I think is a great big highlight. That's already massively exciting. Then you also got Hugh Jackman with The Son, Bill Nighy with Living, Jeremy Pope with The Inspection. And then you also go over here, like you got Ana de Armas for Blonde with her portrayal as Marilyn Monroe. You got Olivia Colman with Empire of Light, Viola Davis with The Woman King, and even going with with the best support, like with best supporting actors, like you got where would we go? Like you got Eddie Redmayne in The Good Nurse, or Carey Mulligan in She Said, and then like best performance, wait, best performance or probably, wait a minute. Wait, why do we have, wait, hold on a sec. Oh, okay. I just wondered. I was like, okay, yeah. Okay. I was like lost a little bit. It's like, wait, well, it's like, what's the difference between these two? Oh, right. This is drama and this is best musical or comedy. But yeah, and like even here, like we got a bit of the same thing. Like we got Adam Driver for White Noise. You got Ralph Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy for The Menu. And you even got Emma Thompson for Good Luck to You, Leo Grade. And even like we also got Leslie Manville for Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. So there is like, at least in terms of the actor and actress categories, like there is a variety. Now it does, like from the looks of it, it doesn't look like it's going to be completely covered with big name, big budgeted Hollywood movies, but still, like you got a variety in the actors and actresses. But going back into my point with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, while it is nice that it did get those nominations, and there is a very high chance it will win Best Animated Features, I don't like, it is a bit worrying that maybe its mission to go and actually get Best Picture, it's unfortunately going to be unlikely at this point. If the Golden Globes would set like this standard of what would be to come. But regardless, I just want to go and say congratulations to all the nominees at this year's Golden Globes, and especially congratulations to the cast and crew of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Inuo, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and Turning Red. And we'll see how things will go when the Golden Globes will happen on January 10th. And with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel in regards to the nominations here, especially for Best Animated Feature? Do you feel like you're happy with this list? Are you guys, do you guys feel like there's some kind of snub, rather it be either in the animation category or in the other categories? Let me know what you think. Oh, wait, actually, no, I'll save that. Anyway, no, I'm here to read. Let's see now. When it comes to some of the nominations, I think these are solid choices. Although I will admit, I haven't seen Puss in Boots yet, and I haven't seen Marcel or Inuo. Personally, I have a strong feeling that Pinocchio will win, and I think it's guaranteed that it's going to be a strong contender for award seasons with the Annies and the Oscars. Although it's still debatable if it would get nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Yeah, I know, that's just a major thing that we'll have to wait and see. Let's see. In terms of animated films, I think it's clear Pinocchio's going to come out the victor. I could be wrong, but God, I hope I'm not, because Pinocchio is an impeccable movie. Maybe it'll have some competition for best song with both Natu Natu and Lift Me Up in the running. As for the rest, I wasn't expecting Top Gun Maverick to get some nods, and Angela Bassett's nomination is absolutely well deserved. Seriously, that scene where she loses her crap at Okoye, actual tears. Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, and admittedly, I have not heard or I have not seen of RRR, and maybe Natu Natu could actually be a strong contender in this case. I'll have to probably listen to it when I can, but we'll see. We'll see on that. I want to congratulate both Domichi, Guillermo del Toro, and everyone else nominated at this year's Golden Globe Awards. I did meet most of these people this year in the animation category, yet I haven't seen Marcel and that other film released by G Kids, but definitely will check them out because I do watch a lot of A24 films. But yeah, my money is on both Pinocchio and Turning Red. They are both my favorite films this year. Good luck to them. All right. I'm happy with the category for Best Animated Feature, and I have seen 4 out of the 5 films so far. I predict Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio to win and maybe best score if it can. I'll be rooting for others like Better Call Saul, EEAAO. Oh, okay, that's what I was. Okay, so that's what it is. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I was like reading. It was like, I want to nominate Better Call Saul and EEAAO. And Banshees to win as well. Not sure about watching it, as the HFPA are still a bad company, including what they did in the past. And right now, there are no women directors nominated for the director category this year. Even Brendan Fraser won't attend either. Oh yeah, I'll say this right now. I'm not even planning on watching it whatsoever. Like, I've never really cared much about the Golden Globes anyways, at least in terms of being an award show, and I'm not planning to go and watch it when it does come back. Like, honestly, just tell me who the winners are and I'll be ready to go and cover that as a story for the podcast. Let's see. The best animated feature category looks pretty damn solid for this year. While I haven't watched Inuo and Marcel, I have heard a lot of good things about them. As for Pinocchio, Puss in Boots, and Turning Red, they are very solid movies, but like what most other people are thinking, I have a pretty good feeling that Guillermo del Toro will be taking the award this year. That or The Bad Guys, not because they earned it, but because they stole it while no one else was looking. Oh my god, that would be like a cute little segment. That would be like something fun to see, like at the Oscars, where there's like a little animated segment where the bad guys try to steal the best animated feature Oscar. That would be a lot of fun. Oh, let's see, what else do we got here? Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is an amazing slice of life feature, very similar to the Rugrats. Good choice also. Can't wait to see Guillermo del Toro's next weekend. And Puss in Boots in theaters that same weekend. And Turning Red is a really great coming-of-age story. Definitely deserve nominations as well. Also, Puss in Boots, the first one is free on YouTube for the month of December and early January. Oh, really? Now that is interesting. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment before we move on to our next story or our first break. I'll go with this one. I really think Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio should get the Best Picture nomination. There was so much passion. As for the snubs, I feel like there's a prejudice against nominating teens and child actors. Like when films like WSS and Jojo Rabbit got nominated, the only actors to get nominated were Scarlett Johansson and and West Side Story, where Scarlett Johansson and Ariana DeBose in each respective film, which sucks considering I feel like they were some actors that should have and should be nominated because of how dynamic their performances were. All right, so those are the nominations for the Golden Globe Awards, and we will be right back on our next story where we will be talking about a different award show, but not in terms of their nominations or winners, but because of, well, let's say it's more because of a certain reformed rabbi. So we will be right back. All right, now moving on to our next story, we're going to jump from the Golden Globes to the Game Awards, which did happen this weekend. And to this day, many people are still talking about what has happened, especially when there have been some controversial winners. I know that there have been some mixed reception when it comes to the People's Choice, which was given to Genshin Impact instead of Sonic Frontiers. But when it comes to many of the other categories, a lot of people seem to be happy with them, and a lot of them were definitely expected. Especially when it comes to Elden Ring being the big winner for Game of the Year. And in terms of the show itself, well, there's been several fun highlights that happened. Like there was Crash Bandicoot that came into the scene. And of course, not to mention all the major world premieres that have occurred, all the big announcements. And not to mention probably the best moment in the Game Awards, which is Animal from the Muppets suddenly coming in right beside Geoff Kinley and just talking about his chance of being in a game and hopefully working with Hideo Kojima. It's like, okay, Animal, what kind of game would you like to be in? Kojima! Animal can hide in box. Oh, and not to mention also another hilarious moment when Animal is simping for Millennia from Elden Ring. Now that was freaking classic. Oh my god. I would even go as far as say that this is probably one of the best Muppet highlights of this year. So definitely nice. Definitely a lot of fun. But that's not the biggest moment that happened this year. That's not the big thing that everybody was talking about. No, what people were legitimately talking about was what happened when Elden Ring won for Game of the Year, where the developers came onto the stage and they were giving their thanks and everybody was cheering. And well, let's just say something special happened. Let's just take a look and see.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Matan. You know, real quick, I want to thank everybody and say that I think I want to nominate this award to my Reformed Orthodox Rabbi, Bill Clinton. Thank you, everybody.
So yes, this was a thing that legitimately happened at the Game Awards during the Game of the Year, where the developers of Elden Ring, they were giving their thanks. You know, they were honored to have the award that their game was named Game of the Year. And then this kid just came right behind them just to go and say that he wants to nominate his Reformed Orthodox rabbi, Bill Clinton, leaving the entire audience and all the viewers absolutely confused. It was the biggest what the fridge moment that has occurred, and the bit, like, probably one of the most talked about things that has happened during an award show since the infamous Will Smith slap at the Oscars. It's ridiculous. And to this day, people were asking and people were wondering who the fridge was that kid at the Game Awards. Who is what people are now dubbing the Bill Clinton kid? And I tried to do a little bit of research myself as to who he is. And so far, most of the answers that we do have actually comes from this Forbes article in which they talked about the events in regards to what happened at the Game Awards with this weird kid just coming out of nowhere. And so far, they have found some answers. The only thing that they did not point out, and I will go and respect, honestly, is actually in regards to his identity. And considering that he is a minor, he is literally still just a kid, I think it is for the best that we keep his identity hidden. We don't go and actually, you know, say who he is, just to avoid any doxing purposes or anything like that. Honestly, I think it's best to go and keep his identity hidden, or just, at least I'm not going to go and say his identity. But in here, there have been some ideas as to who the individual is. And I'll read you here from my source on Forbes, in which it states, here's what we believe we know about this kid and what he was doing there, though I will refrain from posting his name as he appears to be a minor. A Twitter account appearing to belong to the kid has posted about the interruption, taking credit. It's an old account tied to his past online activities, which is mainly protesting police brutality and government oppression in Hong Kong. Previously, this kid did something similar in 2019 at BlizzCon, where he interrupted a World of Warcraft panel by shouting "Free Hong Kong" that is documented on this same Twitter account. As also in 2019, he was on TV at a Clippers game holding up a Hong Kong shirt that the cameraman had to pan away from. And there is supposed to be like a tweet that was meant to show up here, but I guess Firefox doesn't really care much about showing Twitter handles or any Twitter posts in here. So I do have it over here. This is the clip.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
And here he is.
Gangnam Style.
The cameraman just tried to go like, oh crap, nope, can't show that. Oh boy, like, let's have a bit of a freeze frame of that little shirt. Yeah, fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. Yeah, and oh my god, like the kid was like, you could tell like this is an actual kid, like he was really young back then. But anyways, going back to some of the points here. He has a TikTok that is mainly about Hong Kong, and at times he has put on an accent similar to what we heard in this incoherent Game Award speech. Perhaps most strangely of all, he appeared on Conspiracy Network InfoWars 2 years ago, who described him as one of the young stars of the conservative movement and had him talking about his Hong Kong protests. There are unverified DMs being posted showing him claiming that he was going to do this walk on stage prank ahead of time and posting it in the moments leading up to it. And then he also stated, he follows me on Twitter, it turns out, so I've asked him to verify his identity and comment on why he did what he did on stage, and will update if I hear back. So basically, apparently this kid also follows the author of this article, and as it turns out, he did answer. He did actually went back to him to go and answer a few questions in regards to what happened, and here are the answers, and here's what the kid had to say. First off, though, he said he couldn't talk about being arrested, which, by the way, that is one more thing I forgot to mention. Yes, right after the kid would go and make his whole Bill Clinton speech, he was immediately arrested on the spot. So that did legitimately happen, and it was actually confirmed by Geoff Kingley not long after the incident occurred. But anyways, going back over here, he bought a ticket from AXS and made sure he was seating decently close to the stage to enact this plan. Then he went on to say, he says Bill Clinton is his hero, and he didn't know who better to dedicate the award to in that moment. He says he did not make a statement about Hong Kong as he had in the past because it wasn't the right moment, but he still stands with the people there. He also said he did play Elden Ring and said it was good, but apparently stopped at the Tree Sentinel, so I guess he stopped right at the start of it. He said he doesn't think he ruined Miyazaki's big moment. Miyazaki, by the way, no, not Hayao Miyazaki animation fans. I mean specifically Hidetaka Miyazaki, the director of Elden Ring. Anyways, he says he did not think he ruined Miyazaki's big moment because he purposely waited until he was done speaking to make it his own statement. He also stated he's not fully explaining the Reformed Orthodox rabbi Bill Clinton comment in a way I understand, but said he was not saying Clinton is secretly Jewish when I said that's part of many globalist conspiracies. He claims that he is Jewish himself. And finally, in conclusion, there was no underlying anti-Semitic or far-right message. I just couldn't think of a better person than Bill to give the spotlight to in that moment. So that's pretty much his response, and that's pretty much the big thing that went on. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know about you, but after that, honestly, I feel like after he did respond to this author, I think it kind of left me with more questions than answers, because like all this going on, it's like none of this feels like it really makes sense. Like none of this feels like there's any purpose. There's no point to it. Like there's been a lot of theories as to why specifically, and a lot of people really tried to go and connect the dots to see if like the kid legitimately had a reason to really go this far into committing this action. Like maybe this person is a content creator and he wanted to go and like give his own platform a boost to have like that 15 seconds of fame so that now he'll be forever recognized as the Bill Clinton kid. And there have been some rumors because of that little connection with InfoWars. Some say that the kid was some InfoWars spy and what he meant to do was to go and spread some kind of anti-Semitic message by calling Bill Clinton a Reformed Orthodox rabbi or something like that. But it doesn't look like there's any confirmation about any of those. And it looks like it's just like this weird kid coming in to go and like get on stage and say, hey, I want to thank my rabbi, Bill Clinton. And that's it. That seems to be the point of it all. Like, it's just for that. And I mean, like, it's so confusing and just so weird because, like, at the very least, like when he did his little Hong Kong protest speeches and stuff like that, like when he was doing it for Hong Kong, at least those ones, they had a purpose. This one, though, it's like right out of the blue. It's like the most random thing that had ever occurred in the history of the Game Awards. Like amongst all the names that would legitimately be mentioned, like why Bill Clinton? Like was the kid inspired by by Icarus and just watched like the whole gaming in the Clinton years. Like he saw the gaming in the Clinton years video and he was hoping like some kind of musicals transition, like after everything there would just be like a little tune of like it just makes no sense. It's like this really is a case where it really did leave out so much more questions than there would be answers. But for now, it looks like the common thread, the ultimate thing that everybody agreed upon is just the fact that this is nothing more but a troll, that this is nothing more but a little prankster that just wants to go and have his little time to shine with this completely weird and random moment for no rhyme or reason, but just for the lulz, just for the likes, just for the yucks and all of that kind of stuff. That seems to be the only reason so far. But there is one thing that is meant to be said about all this. One thing that is worth noting in regards to what actually happened here, and this is something that a lot of people have talked about, and that's in regards to the fact that a lot of people right now are really questioning security at the Game Awards. Like the fact that this even happened in the first place and nobody was questioning it. Like the fact that the kid was able to get this far is insane. And especially if you do look at the entire clip as to what happened at the Game Awards, it's actually kind of crazy. Like, let's go back to the beginning as to what happened. Like, okay, right over here, you'll see that, yeah, Elden Ring just won. Like, it finally got it and stuff like that. So, like, you see, like, all the developers, like, they're walking by, they're going in. Well, here he is! There he is! There he is! Here's our boy just walking in, casually getting into it. Like, just, hold on a second. Let me just, yeah, just right here, joining them, like, as if he's just part of the team for some reason. Like, you got these Japanese men and then this random boy on the side. Like, what is it? Like, why is he even there in the first place? And then you'll see, like, throughout the whole speech, the kid was just there. Like, the kid was, like, always on the side. Like, yeah, you see him just walking there, just looming over before his big moment. No one's stopping him. No one's questioning why he's there. He's just there with the team, just applauding. It's just so random. Like, again, this is like a big question about security. Like, throughout the entire speech, throughout the entire moment, the kid was just like quietly joining among the crew. Nobody was questioning it. Like, he's just acting as if he was a part of the Elden Ring team. Like, where was security when they had to go and take action? Where were they, like, to stop him even before taking the stage? Like, was there no, like, security clearance? Was there no, like, identification to know, like, okay, yeah, he's supposed to be on, he's supposed to be on, he's supposed to be on, and all that kind of stuff? Like, why even let that kid up there? I think that's going to be the big update for next year, honestly. For the Game Awards in 2023, I think what they got to do is that they're going to really amp up and really put in the budget onto security to make sure that kind of incident just doesn't happen again. It's honestly ridiculous that this even occurred. And I remember I talked to a friend about this, how insane that moment was, and I pretty much told them, well, I guess even gamers need to have their Will Smith slap moment. You know, like, they need that moment where things go completely wrong during their big award show, and it's going to be the biggest talk of them all. But there is one more thing that I do want to comment about this little moment, and it's actually really funny. And this is actually something that really broke the news today. There's one thing I do want to go and point out. Like, notice the audience's response. Like, notice how audiences felt after he thanked his reformed rabbi, Bill Clinton.
Award to my reformed orthodox rabbi, Bill Clinton. Thank you, everybody.
Like, there were some applauses, but a lot of confusion. It was mostly quiet, or at least compared to when Elden Ring legitimately won. One thing that I gotta give this kid credit, at least he did receive a better reception than Elon Musk. I don't know if any of you have heard, but today, actually the news pretty much broke out where apparently during a comedy show with Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, like I think it was in San Francisco, Dave Chappelle actually brought in Elon Musk. Well, not invite him, but apparently he was on, I don't know what it is. Either like he was backstage or he was watching the show, and Dave Chappelle decided to say like, hey, let's bring up Elon Musk here. Everybody give it up for Elon Musk. And just listen to the reactions here.
I don't want to hurt you. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the richest man in the world.
Yeah, so as you can probably hear, it's a pretty good mix of cheers and a lot of boos. And I'm just gonna say now that the cheers, I would say like a mix is a very generous way of putting it. At most, it's like 50-50. Now, Elon Musk wanted to try to say like, he actually went on Twitter and he went to say like, well, it's actually 90% cheers and 10% boos. I don't know, man. Like, the most generous I could be is say that it's all 50-50, and I've been hearing a lot more boos than I am hearing applause. And from there, like, apparently that show, that moment was just a complete disaster. Like, Elon Musk was legitimately booed off the stage right over there. And it really goes to show that no matter how much money you have, even if you would be called the richest man in the world, love and happiness it cannot be purchased. Money cannot buy you love or happiness. Even if you did go and you would go and purchase you would spend $44 billion on a website in which right now it's on the verge of just completely shutting down, of just being ceased to be. That doesn't mean, like, because you did that, that doesn't mean that people will go and like you right now. You still have to go and take more action than that. But just like a quick little thing that I want to mention, and something funny that actually occurred, of the fact that Elon Musk was just completely booed off, and really shows the reality of how hated Elon Musk is, or at least by the grand majority of the population. But anyways, going back into our main subject, going back into the Game Awards, I would like to go and pass this off to you guys, and I want to know, what do you all think about the incident at the Game Awards? Have you watched the Game Awards? What are your thoughts about this weird little moment? And also, if you have any thoughts about the show itself, not just with the Bill Clinton kid, let me know what you think. Let's see. I'm not gonna lie, after hearing this, I'm actually more confused than I am understanding this. But regardless, this kid really is a troll that just wanted attention. And seriously, hopefully next year, the Game Awards will have more security to keep stuff like this from happening. Also, on a more positive note, one highlight we got during the Game Awards is that we got a new clip for the Super Mario Brothers movie, and it looks amazing. Oh my god, I saw that clip. I freaking love it. Oh my god, especially like the music. The fact that it's like this massive mashup of all the different Mario songs. Oh, it's great. And especially like just traveling around the Mushroom Kingdom, that I really did enjoy. Oh my god. Like, it really did solidify my excitement for this movie. I'm like really hyped up for it. Let's see. This kid used such oh no, wait, sorry, I read that wrong. This kid is such an ultra powerful being. He used 1% of his ultimate Shaggy power to sneak behind security by disguising himself by putting a lampshade on his head. and used the same power he used to defeat Thanos to nominate his reformed rabbi, Bill Clinton. He is more powerful than a snail and Dora the Explorer. Okay, all jokes aside, this is a very insane moment that happened. I know, man. It's just how all this just let it happen. It's already insane in itself. I don't know what moment is more random, the slap or the Clinton. I won't lie. I shut off after Mario clip because, well, that's the only reason I watched the stream. But my homie filled me in, and jumping Jesus on a breadstick, this rabbit hole got deeper than I expected. It's not as bonkers as the slappity slap, but it is still crazy. It kind of reminds me of an interview you'd find in Borat. I'd go on more about this, but I don't want to ramble too long. I'm not Christopher Judge. Oh my god, yeah, that is so true, actually. This actually feels like something that you would expect out of a Sacha Baron Cohen, out of a Sacha Baron Cohen movie. You know, like you'd expect that would be something Borat would do, like with the accent, with the random inclusion of Bill Clinton. It really does sound like a Borat thing. You know, like he would be filming his third movie. He just so happened to be on the Game Awards and just comes up and says, "Hello, I'd like to nominate my reformed orthodox rabbi, Bill Clinton. Very nice." You know, he would just go and do that. But then again, I mean, if you see Borat on stage, like, you would know something would not seem right. You know that he would completely stand out compared to all the other guys. Like, at the very least, that kid dressed up exactly like the developer. So there is like a way that he could blend in a little, but not too much. But still, though, like, if you see Borat, you know it's Borat. Oh, let's see what else we got here. Thank goodness, despite Bob Iger's best efforts, the Muppets are still relevant. The best part of the whole show was receiving the news that we're getting a new Crash Bandicoot game. Oh yeah, and also, this kid is a weirdo, but I'm glad he made you give Kid Icarus a shout out. The last time I saw the two of you together, Jafrillos was talking about a giant crab man. This was very good for my spleen. Lastly, when you're too toxic for Dave Chappelle fans, you might want to rethink your life. Yeah, that was also another really insane thing, is the fact that he got massively booed at a Dave Chappelle show. Like, that really is saying something. Like, if it were any other comedian, then, like, it would be expected that they would go and immediately boo towards Elon Musk. But the fact that it is, like, with it is on a show with Dave Chappelle, and even, like, during that time, Dave Chappelle was, like, attacking his fans. Like, he was attacking the audience, saying, "Yo, you guys better shut the hell up, man!" You know, and all that kind of stuff. Like that, like, I think that itself really is a true testament of how hated Elon Musk is as an individual. Let's see what else we got here. What other comments? Okay. I'm feeling very confused about what that kid was doing. I didn't see the Game Awards, and I heard some things here and there, like the new Mario clip, which was cool, but I have no idea that this kid went on stage to say something about Bill Clinton and stuff. If that was intentional, then this kid might as well be banned for what he just did while raising some security as well. This kid is a troll regardless. Well, yeah, I mean, like, the consequences are definitely, like, he definitely received some consequences. Like, not only is he banned, but keep in mind, the kid is arrested. Let's see. And here I thought that Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was the craziest thing that happened on an award show. I'm glad that he is doing nothing that harmful, but this was still incredibly stupid for me, as well as disrespectful, and security better be improved to stop something like this from happening again. But you know what? I was lucky that he was arrested right then and there, because Miyazaki looked like he was about to test his new trophy weapon for his upcoming Elden Ring DLC. Oh yeah, well, you didn't necessarily get a good look about his reaction. Like, his translator had to go in and, like, try to explain what's even going on. Oh boy, but I can imagine, like, how would he feel? Like, he would just be looking like, who the fridge are you? Oh, let's see. I think I'll read one more comment before we move on to the next story. Let's see. Does anybody have any other comments? Just want to be sure. Okay. Okay. The Bill Clinton nomination was out of nowhere yet hilarious. I'm hoping security gets improved for the award show considering the two events that happen. As for the Muppet scene, it looks like you have a new bunkmate, AniMat. Oh, that's definitely true. All right, now tune in for the next story that I have here. We will be taking a small break from award talk, and we're going to go into a pretty big discussion about the future of some certain superheroes. And we are back. Now, for the next story that I have over here, we are going to go and talk about the future of DC. Now, technically, this isn't necessarily one news story, but think of this more as a collection of news stories that accumulate to this one big story, because this really is like one event that has happened that led to a chain of events that would go occur where we are pretty much up to the point where now the future of these DC movies has become pretty questionable. So without further ado, let's go and begin this discussion with the first story that happened with DC during the week, which was Black Adam. And with Black Adam, apparently reports have already come out in which the fact they're saying that Black Adam has already become a box office bomb, and a pretty big one at that. Now, as I am recording this, in terms of the numbers that it has received, it looks like it went pretty well, where it has made a grand total of just under $390 million worldwide. And it looks like, considering some of the big movies are going to be coming very soon, especially with Avatar: The Way of Water just around the corner, it looks like its time on the big screen, well, it's going to be at its end. So it looks like for now, or at least like I am talking about in North America, like maybe it'll still be on and still be released in other places around the world. But my point is, so far as I'm recording this, Black Adam has a worldwide total of $390 million. But it looks like that is less than enough. That is way not enough for Black Adam to be successful or even to go and turn a profit. And already the media has gone around to go and say that it looks like Warner Brothers has to go and take an L on that one. And they're definitely going to go and lose some money on this, down to the point where it is possible that Black Adam could be losing up to $100 million. Yes, that's what it says here, $100 million. So let me just go and read you from my source here on Variety. As it states, the film needed to earn around $600 million worldwide to break even and to surpass that lofty benchmark to turn a profit, according to sources familiar with the finances. Considering that Black Adam has a massive budget, like they're already saying that the budget of Black Adam was $195 million to go and produce, and they already spent like an extra $100 million on the marketing, and even saying that insiders at Warner Brothers pushed back, saying that COVID-related box office limitations led the studio to scale back the global advertising campaign to 80 million. Okay, so maybe not 100 million, but apparently it's just 80 million, but still that is a buttload of money that they did legitimately spend. However, yet the box office experts believe Black Adam will stall out with less than $400 million globally, which is problematic since movie theater owners get to keep around half of those sales. Now the movie stands to lose $50 million to $100 million in its theatrical run, according to estimates of insiders as well as rival executives with knowledge of similar productions. Now, at that point, Warner Brothers is trying to say that this is not necessarily the case. They're pretty much trying to refute the arguments to where they are saying that, no, it's not $600 million that we need in order to go and turn a profit. It would actually be at $400 million. And they are saying that apparently it is indeed possible that Black Adam could go and turn a profit, not just from the box office, but also from home media sales, whether it be with 4K or Blu-ray, or especially with streaming. They're saying that it is indeed possible that they can make money off of this Black Adam movie, and that they're not going to go and lose anything, or at least that's what the Warner Brothers representatives are saying. Maybe it's just for the sake of like trying to clear out some bad PR and stuff like that. But regardless, it looks like in terms of how it did at the box office with Black Adam, it doesn't look like it's going well. And because of that news, one after another, we've been hearing more and more about the future of these DC movies, especially with the DC Extended Universe, with all the different movies that are going to be coming out, and especially when their fate has now become in question, especially when it comes to Wonder Woman 3, when that movie has been revealed to actually been fully canceled. There is no Wonder Woman 3 anymore. There's not going to be a continuation to Wonder Woman 84. And from there, a lot of people are wondering about what about some of the actors that are going to be in there, considering that they are talking about completely rebooting the DC universe. Some people have actually speculated and spread rumors in regard to the possibilities that maybe, just maybe, we'll be seeing a whole bunch of different recasts. Especially when it comes to Henry Cavill as Superman. You probably heard the news that Henry Cavill did return to his role as Superman right at the end, or even in the post-credit of Black Adam, where he made his glorious return, opening up to the possibility that there may be a Man of Steel 2. But now, with this entire new plan going on, it looks like not only is Man of Steel 2 pretty questionable in terms of it's going to happen, but some people are wondering, will Henry Cavill even keep his role as Superman? And another rumor that is similar is that some people are saying that apparently Jason Momoa is going to be completely recasted in this new universe, where instead of being Aquaman, he would go on to play as Lobo. Now, the new bosses of DC Studios, the new boss of these DC movies, James Gunn and Peter Safran, they stepped in to go and try to clarify a few things, especially when a whole bunch of reports came out and there's just a lot of rumors that are spreading. And right now, it seems very questionable as to what is actually going on compared to, is it even going on? I'll just go and read you from my source here on Deadline. And this is what James Gunn had to say in regards to the entire situation, including putting out an entire thread on Twitter, to which he stated, "So as for the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, some of it is true, some of it is half true, some of it is not true, and some of it we haven't decided yet whether it's true or not. Although this first month at DC has been fruitful, building the next 10 years of story takes time, and we're still just beginning. Peter and I chose to helm DC Studios knowing we were coming into a fractious environment, both in the stories being told and, excuse me, and in the audience itself. And there would be an unavoidable transitional period as we move into telling a cohesive story across film, TV, animation, and gaming. But in the end, the drawbacks of that transitional period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities and the opportunity to build upon what has worked in DC so far and to help rectify what has not. We are not going to make every single person happy every step of the way, but we can promise everything we do is done in the service of the story and in the service of the DC characters we know you cherish and we have cherished our whole lives. As for more answers about the future of the DCU, I will sadly have to ask you to wait. We are giving these characters and the stories the time and attention they deserve, and we ourselves still have a lot more questions to ask and answer." So that's pretty much the current fate and the current situation with what is happening with the DC universe, with James Gunn and Peter Safran still trying to go and build what's going to be the next 10 years of the DC universe, and what are going to be the elements that will stay there and what are going to be the elements that are not. Now, first of all, let me just go and make a quick comment in regards to what has happened with Black Adam. The fact that not only is there a possibility, or a strong possibility, that it's going to be a box office bomb, but it's going to be losing a lot. Again, from $50 million to $100 million. Now, that's very interesting, because the last time that we have heard that there was a big name movie that was going to lose $100 million at the box office was Strange World. And I've seen some people in comments where they were asking and pretty confused as to how is it that Black Adam and Strange World would lose the same amount of money, especially when Black Adam has made multiple times than Strange World at the box office. Well, the big answer to that is actually in regards to the marketing. One thing you got to keep in mind, like I've already talked about this before, but with Strange World, that movie bombed because Disney barely put in any marketing. Like, they literally had to pay out of their own pockets. And I actually do mean that literally. Like, there was just one executive who just went into his pocket and just hand the crew just what they got, is saying, here is $13 and a paperclip. Use this for your marketing. You know, that's pretty much how the marketing was pretty much done with Strange World, where, like, even to this day, not many people have actually heard about what Strange World is, or that they would know that this is Disney's next animated feature. Whereas Black Adam, on the other hand, oh boy, that marketing was as strong as The Rock himself. Like, for a good while, for a good chunk during the summer, we have heard so much about Black Adam. The marketing was practically everywhere. And this is not even to mention about how Dwayne Johnson literally spent years, even over a decade, trying to build up that he was going to play Black Adam in the next major DC movie. Like, he was really hyping this thing up, and the marketing was also massively hyping this thing up, like really spending money. Not to mention the fact that Warner Brothers decided to go and completely change their schedule, where for the second half of 2022, or at least during, or like not just the second half, but like I would even, or even like the third, or would it be the third? Yeah, like for the third, the only movie, like the only big movie that they would go and put out would just be Black Adam. So they're like, they really tried to go and make that a big deal. But the fact that it did come out with just under $390 million worldwide at the box office, like, honestly, it is debatable if it is like a big hit or if it is going to be a major fail. But still, I think there is that like underlying fact that this is a pretty big disappointment for Warner Brothers, especially when you would go and compare it to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which was another comic book superhero movie in the same league as Black Adam. But Wakanda Forever, however, that one, there's no denying, that became a major hit. In fact, this weekend, it actually managed to surpass $400 million at the domestic box office. And again, that is the domestic box office. And I think that really does say a lot when you got Black Panther that managed to make more money on the domestic box office alone than what Black Panther did worldwide. So that right there is already a statement where there's just something with these DC movies, and especially with something in the leagues of Black Panther, that's just not been working. Which ultimately leads to all the news in regards to the changes that are coming up with the DC movies. And I think, like, more than anything, if they're not convinced before about it, then I think Black Panther really is the biggest indicator that they have to go and completely reboot this entire universe, where they gotta drop that edgelord, masculine Zack Snyder style. Like, the things that Zack Snyder has established with not just Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice and Man of Steel, but also like with his version of Justice League and stuff like that, that needs to be let go. Because so far, like, the biggest failures that DC has gotten in recent years are the ones that are connected to that edgy and gritty cinematic universe. Like with movie, like, yeah, there may be a few that were like financial hits, but stuff like Joss Whedon's Justice League or David Ayer's Suicide Squad, they were major failures. They were massive bombs. And the biggest successes so far are, or like the biggest successes in recent years with DC movies are the ones that are not associated with that DC universe. Like, for example, the Joker, for example, or even the Batman earlier this year, or I would even put in the Suicide Squad. Yeah, that one didn't make much money at the box office, and it would technically be considered a flop, but considering that that one in particular managed to get a spin-off series on HBO Max, and it ultimately led to the big, you know, to the people who created the film to go on to actually be in charge of DC, I think that's a true testament to like how the Suicide Squad became a massive sleeper hit, and that Warner Brothers wants to go in that direction more so than that edgy, masculine Zack Snyder direction. And there has to be some things that they need to go and let go. And there will unfortunately be some sacrifices that they do have to make along the way, including the cancellation of Wonder Woman 3, which I gotta say is, like, I understand why people are saying it's extremely disappointing. Maybe not necessarily because they're like huge fans of all the Wonder Woman movies, because yeah, Wonder Woman 1984 was not necessarily that well received with audiences. But then again, Patty Jenkins, the director, she made a lot of sacrifices for that third movie. Like, she had to go and sacrifice her Star Wars film and a big budgeted Cleopatra movie in order to go and make Wonder Woman 3, which ultimately was just scrapped. So like, those sacrifices were really for nothing, sadly. And as for those rumors about recasting, like, of course there needs to be some that are going to be necessary. I don't really see Ben Affleck coming back as Batman, and I for sure as hell cannot see Ezra Miller coming back as the Flash, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be a mix that we are going to see some people that will stay in their respective roles, like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and there will be some that will have to be changed. But in terms of the ones that have been rumored, I know there are a lot of people that do say, like, I know that like it's a big mystery with what's happening with Jason Momoa, but for me, honestly, I got a good feeling that they're going to go and actually keep Henry Cavill as Superman, that they want to go and give him a second chance, and they'll make him a lot more lighthearted and fun, more so than how he's represented in like Dawn of Justice or Man of Steel or whatever, you know, like just get rid of that side of Superman and have a Superman that's actually fun and likable. Like, and you even see like the Snyder fans trying to go and spread false rumors that James Gunn hates Henry Cavill and stuff like that. But James Gunn confirmed himself that he really likes Henry Cavill. So I think that's a good indication that he is going to go and give that Superman a second chance. But overall, I feel like with what's been going on and what we have seen with the box office results of Black Adam, it's a big indicator that changes need to be made, and that more so than ever, Warner Brothers has a significant reason to go and completely distance themselves from this recent format of the DC universe. They need to distance themselves from the edgy masculinity of Zack Snyder's filmmaking. They need to separate themselves from that toxic fan base to make sure that they don't come back to go and tell them what to do. They need to go and completely change things up so that they can go and give like fresh perspectives of the DC characters. Try to do stuff with different filmmaking techniques and different auteurs to be in charge. Kind of like what we've seen with Todd Phillips with the Joker, or with Matt Reeves with the Batman. Like more like, yeah, maybe more of those like standalone films, but at the same time, have a have a universe that people are going to go and enjoy, and not just be catered to this like very niche incel fan base. You know, that like there's a lot of changes that need to be done. And again, there will be sacrifices that not many people will be happy with, but I think it is going to be necessary. And Black Adam has pretty much proved that the current format of DC needs to be changed right now. And if they're hoping to have a bigger and better future where they can legitimately go and compete against Marvel at their own game, then they need to go and get rid of the stuff that doesn't work, which is the Zack Snyder edgy garbage, and put in some things that are actually good. That's more like the Batman or the Suicide Squad. And with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about all these changes that they're going to do with DC and how things are going with Black Adam? Do you think it's understandable why that movie might have possibly flopped? What are you hoping for with the future of DC? Let me know what you think. Let's see now. For me, I'm just going to wait and see what James Gunn and Peter Safran's plan will be for the DC universe. It could be a good plan or a bad plan, but we'll just have to wait and see. Also, regarding Black Adam's box office performance, even if the movie isn't a flop, I also don't think Warner Brothers should have spent nearly $200 million on it. I mean, outside of diehard DC fans, has anybody ever heard of Black Adam as a character? That's also why I wouldn't necessarily compare it to Black Panther. Yeah, but then again, like, you can even take like a bunch of obscure characters and you could turn them into a massive phenomenon that people will love. I mean, look at what Marvel did with Guardians of the Galaxy. Before the first film, no one has ever heard of them. But then after James Gunn came in and made his feature film, like, Guardians of the Galaxy is now one of the most beloved superhero groups out there. So I'm just saying, like, don't necessarily blame the obscurity of Black Adam. Like, the filmmaking itself and like and how things are with the cinematic universe, that also plays a significant factor. Let's see. While I'm like the one person among us who saw Black Adam in theaters, I'm not surprised it didn't do great, since at its core, it's just a watered down version of 2011 Thor. I don't think it deserved to bomb. As for Wonder Woman 3, it's a bittersweet farewell, since I both love those movies. Overall, to quote a certain comic book movie reviewer on TikTok, the DCEU is in my a-hole. Wait a minute. Oh my. Well, I mean, I guess that does explain the quality then. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of mixed. On one hand, I was kind of disappointed if some of the actors would leave, but it really is because of the failure of Black Adam, and honestly, I think it is for the best they let the universe go and to just wash their hands clean of the Snyder style once and for all. Also, I find it hilarious that these Snyder style fanboys are so triggered to the point where they are creating these hate campaigns against James Gunn to have him fired, which will never happen. Oh yeah, keep on trying the campaigns. It's honestly hilarious to see them do that, because you gotta keep in mind, you know that a few years ago, there was a hate group that tried to do that to cancel James Gunn, but that ultimately led to the chain of events of where we are now, where now James Gunn is leading DC Studios. So you could try that again, and maybe it would work where he'll get kicked out of DC Studios, but then eventually James Gunn is just gonna suddenly come back and he'll be in charge of Warner Brothers Discovery. Like, he's gonna go and actually replace, like, he's ultimately gonna go and replace David Zaslav. And now then you'll have like Peter Safran be the new CEO, while James Gunn is gonna be the chief creative officer of all of Warner Brothers Discovery. Oh boy. And by the way, it's not just the failure of Black Adam, but you got to keep in mind, most of the DC failures in recent years is related to that Zack Snyder style universe, the Snyderverse, if you will, including like the failure of the 2016 Suicide Squad, and I would even throw in Zack Snyder's Justice League, considering the purpose of that is to go and attract more people to go and subscribe to HBO Max, and that ultimately turned out to be a failure. And Warner Brothers themselves even admitted that they completely regretted ever making that movie in the first place. Let's see what else we have here. The best way to describe Black Adam's run is that it is disappointing critically and financially, so I don't see a sequel happening in the future. as for the other news that DC has, like Wonder Woman 3 being canceled, I really do think they should reboot everything, including some new cast, so that the things connected to Snyderverse, including Henry Cavill's Superman cameo from Black Adam, aren't working. If we reboot the franchise sooner, the better. Okay. No, I've already read that one. Let's see. What other comments would we have? I think I'll read one more and then we'll go into the story. Okay, all right. Yeah, you know what? We'll have two, actually. Seems like only yesterday when everyone was saying Marvel's era of pop culture domination was finally coming to an end and DC was making a comeback. But now it's clear that the Batman was little more than an anomaly. DC is somehow in an even worse state than they were when they were owned by AT&T, and everyone loves Marvel again thanks to Wakanda Forever. Speaking of which, how hyped are you to see Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania? Well, maybe not entirely, admittedly, because I have yet to see the Ant-Man movies, so I mean, if I would need to be hyped, I would need to go and do a bit more research, so bear with me on that. All right, one more comment here. The DCEU felt like it was gonna collapse sooner or later since most of these movies has too many traits taken from Zack Snyder. It is James Gunn's best choice right now to Thanos snap the DCEU and restart the whole thing in order to remove any remains of Zack Snyder's influence. If there is something I do want with these new DC movies, it's that they don't try to imitate the MCU movies too much as to help them stand out. Exactly. We need less of the Zack Snyder garbage, and we need more stuff like the Suicide Squad and the Batman. More movies like that, and DC will be in a much better and a much healthier state. Because right now, the current state of the DCEU is pretty much like the current state of Twitter. Like, it's pretty much on the verge of like completely collapsing in itself and just completely dying out altogether, unless there are some sudden changes in order to make it good again, to get rid of the toxicity, rather it be something like Elon Musk's politics or just Elon Musk in general, or just get rid of the Zack Snyder style filming and the Zack Snyder style masculinity and replace with actual good elements that people want to see. All right, so now we will be right back, and we're gonna go and take a look at the awards once again, but this time now we're gonna play a little game of our own little predictions. And now, folks, it is time that we are going to go and cap this off with the grand finale. Yes, we only have 4 stories instead of the usual 5 because, well, there hasn't necessarily been a whole lot of animation news or a lot of news that, like, I can go and, like, fully talk about, like, any animation news or any crazy news that's been going on, so I'm just working with what I got. But anyways, yes, we are going back into the award season, and also I just want to go and have a quick mention, by the way, of the fact that this weekend as well we also had the first ever Children and Family Emmy Awards, in which we did have several big winners that did occur. Of course, Sesame Street being one of them. I think they're going to be a dominant force, like, for the rest of its run. And then there's also some notable animation winners, including Maya and the Three, City of Ghosts, as well as Hilda and the Mountain King. So that's just a quick little mention that I want to say that did occur during the weekend. But what I want to focus on, considering that I started off with the thing that would go and start award season, I want to go and cap this episode off with the main show of the award season, the biggest award show of them all. And of course, it's gotta be the Oscars. Now, what happened this week was that with the Oscars, the Academy has revealed the list of eligible movies that can be nominated for certain categories, specifically for Best International Feature, Best Documentary, and of course, for Best Animated Feature. And for Best Animated Feature, they actually have a list of 27 movies that are now in competition to go and actually have a chance to be nominated for Best Animated Feature at the 95th Oscars, which will be premiering in March, I believe. Just want to go and double check on that. I'm sure this article from Variety would say something. I do believe it's somewhere, because I think like it's March 10th or March 12th. I think it's like somewhere around that line. Worst case scenario, chat wall, you can go and correct me on that just in case. But anyways, yes, we do have our list, and I actually do have it customized, by the way, so that we can go and actually change things up or apparently I did have a confirmation here. Apparently it's going to be on March 12th. Okay, thank you, Oscar, for that correction there. All right, but anyways, I got the list here of all the different movies that are eligible for Best Animated Feature. And so, with that said and done, the eligible movies for Best Animated Feature at the 95th Academy Awards are Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood, The Bad Guys, The Bob's Burgers Movie, Charlotte, DC League of Super Pets, Drifting Home, Eternal Spring, Goodbye Don Glees, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Inuo, Lamia's Poem, Lightyear, Little Nicholas, Happy as Can Be, Luck, Mad God, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Minions, The Rise of Gru, My Father's Dragon, New Gods, Yang Jiang, Oink, Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, Run, Tiger, Run, The Sea Beast, Strange World, Turning Red, and Wendell and Wild. And keep in mind that we're not going to know what the nominees are going to be until like over a month. It's going to be sometime in January. Maybe they would say something about that. Like, I know it's going to be sometime in January that we will officially know when the animated films are actually, or when the nominations are going to come out. No, they don't even mention that. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. The thing is, though, what I want to do is actually, we're going to go and play a fun little game where we will go and make our own predictions. This is something I like to do every year, where we will go and take this list of eligible movies and we're going to go and actually guess what are going to be the animated films that will be nominated for Best Animated Feature. Like, we're going to go and actually make our predictions. I don't know, like usually with these kinds of things, you know, they are pretty fun to do, especially for this podcast. So without further ado, I'm going to go and start things off with making my own predictions. So first of all, in terms of the movies that I know will be nominated, the first will be your standard Disney/Pixar movie. Of course, every year you got to have at least one animated movie from either Disney or Pixar that will be nominated. And I think the one that will be it this year will be Turning Red. I think Turning Red has the best shot compared to Strange World and Lightyear. Like, I believe it's going to be a guarantee that it will get nominated. However, at the same time, I'm not going to go and immediately rule out the two other films either. I'm not going to rule out Lightyear, and I'm not going to rule out Strange World, because they still do have a solid chance to actually go and get nominated, regardless of what people say the qualities of those respective movies are. And especially, we have seen several times where Disney would go and dominate the Best Animated Feature category, especially like last year, for example, or the last Oscars, where we have seen all three of Disney's animated movies get nominated, like Raya and the Last Dragon, Encanto, and Luca. So I'm not going to go and say immediately that they are going to be nominated, but I'm going to put them as a maybe. So I'll highlight them in yellow. So honestly, like, I wouldn't be surprised if either Strange World or Lightyear would not be nominated, but I wouldn't be surprised if they would as well. So I think, like, on the basis that they are from Disney, that does give them a good chance. But then you also have your standard Netflix movie that would be nominated here. Because I think at this point, we are starting to notice a pattern where ever since Netflix is starting to make their own animated features, we're pretty much at the point that now we're seeing them every year. Like once a year, there's always going to be at least that one edition that was released exclusively by Netflix. Like we already had that with Klaus, we had that with Over the Moon, and we even had that with the last Oscars with Sony's Mitchells versus the Machines. Technically, that would count as a Netflix movie. But in this case, though, I think it's pretty obvious which one they're going to go with. And that's going to be Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. That one, I think it's going to be obvious that that one will actually get a nomination, considering that Netflix is really going heavy on its award campaign, even to the point where they want to go and give this best animated feature. So that's why, honestly, I feel like that one has the strongest chance compared to all the other Netflix movies. And speaking of which, I'm not going to go and rule out the other Netflix movies either. You know, I'm going to put those as maybe too. So I'll put a maybe onto Apollo 10.5. I'll go and give a maybe to My Father's Dragon. I'll go and give a maybe to The Sea Beast. Hold on, just to go. And I'll give a maybe to Wendell and Wild. So I think those ones as well can also have a pretty solid shot. However, I'm going to say maybe not necessarily all of them. I do feel like, at least in my opinion, that there are some that have a stronger shot more so than others. Like, even though it is a guarantee that Pinocchio will get nominated, that doesn't mean that the others would be nominated too. And I feel like, honestly, the ones who will have the strongest chance other than Pinocchio would be My Father's Dragon and Wendell and Wild. Wendell and Wild is because the Academy usually has a bias for stop motion animated features, and especially with a new Henry Selick movie, I think it does. I think it made itself as a pretty solid contender, so I could see that getting a chance. And also My Father's Dragon, considering with that one, that is a movie that is made by Cartoon Saloon, and Cartoon Saloon is usually an Oscar favorite, where all their movies so far have been nominated, like The Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, Wolfwalkers, and The Breadwinner. So that's why, honestly, I have to take back what I said previously with stuff like The Sea Beast and with Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood. I don't think they got a chance, especially not only competing with all these other movies, but competing against the other Netflix movies. So I think I'm going to go and cross them off immediately. And then you also have your standard independent animated feature. And I think with this one, considering that this is the movie that right now there have been some critics' choices that already gave this movie the best animated feature win, I'm going to go with Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I think that's going to be the one that we will see as the independent animated feature representation. I think that one is definitely going to have a solid chance to get that best animated feature category. So I'm going to go with that. But again, I'm not going to go and immediately rule out the other independent animated features on this list. There might be some that I feel like could actually have a solid chance as much as the others. Okay, so we already do know about the ones that we know are gonna get nominated, but what about the ones that we do know are not gonna get nominated whatsoever? Now, there are some stuff that obviously we gotta go and completely take out. And I really hate doing this, to be honest, because I personally really like this film, but we gotta get rid of the Bob's Burgers movie. Again, I love this movie. It is a fantastic film. But the truth of the matter is that the Oscars do not recognize movies that are based on animated shows. This is why we haven't seen stuff like the Simpsons movie or any of the SpongeBob movies actually get nominated for Best Animated Feature, unfortunately. And I don't think it's going to be the same with the Bob's Burgers movie. So yeah, we got to go and take that one out. And also, I want to go and get rid of a few bad movies because it's honestly kind of laughable that they're even here in the first place. Like, Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank. Like, okay, yeah, it's cute you think that you got a shot, but honestly, no. no. You're like, what? Why the fridge are you even here, Hank? No, go home, man. Go home and take your bland version of Blazing Saddles out of here. No, there ain't no way. Also, another one we got to get rid of, Luck. Yeah, like, this is supposed to be John Lasseter's big animation comeback. Yeah, what a freaking joke. So, yeah, I don't think it has any shot whatsoever of actually getting a chance. But then there is also something that might sound mean-spirited, but honestly, we also got to go and get rid of the ones that people have not heard of. The thing is that if this is the first time that you've actually heard of these movies on this list, then there's a very strong chance that it's not going to get nominated. So, and this is no disrespect to these movies in general. I'm sure they are great on their own, but I just don't see them be nominated for an Oscar. So, I got to go and get rid of Charlotte. Oh yeah, hold on, I'll get back to those later, actually. I also got to get rid of Eternal Spring. Then there's also Lamia's Poem to get rid of. There's also Little Nicholas, Happy as Can Be. Also get rid of Oink. And I'll get rid of Run, Tiger, Run. And I almost forgot, actually. Now, these two movies, they're not bad, but for me, I would consider them to be pretty mid. Like, they're not as great as, like, Turning Red or Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. So, honestly, that's why I feel like they don't really have that much of a chance. So, I'm going to go and get rid of DC League of Super Pets, and I'm going to go and get rid of Minions Rise of Gru just to get that out of the way. But then there are some others that I do have to say, whoops, no. We're keeping, hold on a sec, sorry. No, I ain't getting rid of Marcel the Shell with shoes on now. But there are some that I do have to say, they actually have a pretty strong chance as well. And that would have to be the DreamWorks movies with The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I feel like with those ones, they have a strong chance as much as some of the other, like some of the Disney movies or some of the other Netflix movies. And especially with 2022, like probably one of the biggest surprise is how DreamWorks made, like suddenly put in a massive boost in their quality. Like they're not regurgitating like franchises that only little kids enjoy, or that it's mostly little kids enjoy, like Trolls or The Boss Baby and stuff like that. But like now they're putting in some like really exciting and really noteworthy animated films like The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots. And with those ones, I feel like they actually have a pretty solid chance to go and get a nomination. Like honestly, my money would be a bit more on Puss in Boots more so than The Bad Guys, but I think it would be a bit of a toss-up. I think it could be either or. But then you also have the other independent movies where with these ones, I feel like they got a strong chance because they're from G Kids, such as Drifting Home, Goodbye Don Glees, Inuo, and New Gods Yang Jing. Now with G Kids, usually they are the masters of independent Oscar-nominated animated features. Like, if there is an indie animated film that's nominated for an Oscar, there's a very good chance that it is because they were distributed by G Kids. And I think with this one, considering that we just saw with the Golden Globes that Inuo got a nomination there, I think out of all of them, I think Inuo has the strongest chance amongst all of them, more so than Drifting Home or Don Glees or Yang Jing. But then there's one more on this list I have yet to mention. Mad God. And with this one, I think this might have a chance as well to be nominated, especially when not only was it highly acclaimed, but keep in mind this is coming from one of the masters of special effects one of the master stop motion special effects artists, Phil Tippett. And from that reputation, like keep in mind with Phil Tippett, he is responsible for some of the greatest special effects in movie history, like with Star Wars and Jurassic Park and stuff like that. So in that regard, the fact that we got an animated film from him, I think that, and especially with how it is like critically praised and stuff like that, I believe Mad God actually does have a very strong chance to go and have an actual nomination here. So that's pretty much my thoughts so far of the ones that I think will be nominated, of what might be nominated. and what won't be nominated. Now, if I would have to go and make a prediction as to what will be the 5 movies that are going to get nominated at the Oscars, if I got to go and make a guess, I am going to say Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Turning Red, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, and my Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton. Nah, I'm just kidding. No, the 5th one, I think it's going to be a toss-up between Wendell and Wild and Lightyear. Like, either one of those would go and get a shot. So, honestly, those are my personal predictions. I could be right about this. I could totally be wrong about it. Keep in mind, this is not a fully accurate thing. These are just based on my opinions. This is based on my thoughts. You never know if in the future, maybe the Oscars is going to do something really unexpected and they're going to give Minions: The Rise of Gru an Oscar nomination. Who the fridge knows? But so far, these are my predictions of what we got for the Oscars. Am I going to be right? Am I going to be wrong? Well, we will just have to wait and see. And with that said, now I want to pass this on to you, and I'd like to know, what do you think? What are your predictions for the best animated excuse me, let me rephrase that. What are your predictions for the nominations for best animated feature at the Oscars? Let me know what you think on that. Okay, let's see now. For me, my predictions for the nominations are Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Turning Red, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and Wendell and Wild. But regardless, I wish all these films the best of luck. But let's be honest, we all know Pinocchio is going to win. This is probably going to be the most predictable best animated film winner in a long time. I would disagree, honestly. I think, honestly, like, with the Oscars, they can be pretty unpredictable. Like last time, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's going to be the Mitchells versus the Machines, but we know that it was going to be Encanto. Like, yeah, it was obvious that, but it was Encanto, regardless of what people want or regardless of what people will say. It was going to be Encanto. So honestly, I'm just going to say right now, when it comes to the Oscars specifically, yeah, it seems like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is going to be the most obvious choice, but I would not be surprised if the Oscars would go with Turning Red. I'm just saying. Let's see. My predictions are The Bad Guys, Pinocchio, Marcel, Puss in Boots, and Turning Red. Okay, we got The Bad Guys on this. Oh, we actually got both DreamWorks films here. Let's see. My predictions include Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, and that's it. No, but for real though, my big guesses are Marcel, Pinocchio, with also extra nods for Best Original Song, Best Original Score, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Pinocchio, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Turning Red, and a toss-up between Inuo and Wendell and Wild. As for most of the others, I can only imagine the Bob's Burgers movie getting a nomination for Best Original Song. Once again, don't forget to text your mom this. Oh, that is true. Maybe we could see something like South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and maybe there could be a nomination for Best Original Song. Like, I can imagine either like Lucky Ducks or Sunny Side of Summer could get a nomination. Oh, that would be awesome. I can actually see that happening, especially Lucky Ducks. Oh my God, that one was a great song. Oh, let's see now. Given that 2022 year of animation was weak, including Disney films, surprisingly, I predict Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Turning Red, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and maybe My Father's Dragon to get nominated for Best Animated Feature due to liking those films the most. Sorry, but I don't think any additional Disney films in my opinion, but I'll wait and see. Let's see when the nominations come out. You know, that's one thing I'm going to say right now. I disagree with you on the statement that 2022 was a weak year for animated features. I think a lot of them are actually very solid. Like, I think, like, for the most part, the grand majority of them are actually very solid and pretty good. Like, so, like, they range from, like, amazing to okay. And, like, we only have a handful that are just legitimately bad. So honestly, I feel like 2020. So I would have to disagree with you on that. 2022 feels more like a W for animated features. Anyways, what other predictions do we have? My predictions are Turning Red, Puss in Boots, Pinocchio, and possibly Inuo. I bet Pinocchio will win the Oscars. I can feel it. Well, that's 4, but okay. Someone is saying Turning Red, Pinocchio, Puss in Boots, Wendell and Wild, and Lightyear. Okay. That's interesting. Let's see what else we have. What other predictions are up there? We have one is Pinocchio, Turning Red, Marcel, Puss in Boots, and a toss-up between The Bad Guys, Inuo, My Father's Dragon, and Wendell and Wild. Oh boy, that is a pretty big toss-up there. Let's see now. My predictions for the Oscars are Pinocchio, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, Turning Red, The Bad Guys, and Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. While Disney, Pixar, and DreamWorks have done some really good movies, with the reception that Pinocchio has gotten, that movie feels like an obvious winner. Yeah, fair point there, fair point. Then we got another one. Pinocchio, Turning Red, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, and Wendell and Wild. You know, it's interesting to see Wendell and Wild being brought up often. I mean, I really enjoy that movie, so, I mean, I get it. Oh, let's see. Yeah, someone even mentioned that the Simpsons movie got a Golden Globe nomination. Well, yeah, that's the Golden Globes. That's not the Oscars. Let's see. I think I'll read one more prediction, and we'll go with we'll go with this one. Let's see. The Bad Guys, Wendell and Wild, dealt Pinocchio, Turning Red, Marcel, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and My Father's Dragon are my predictions. Okay, that's 7 right there. You got to go and slash off a few more though. Like you got to go and sacrifice a few. All right, but anyways, with that said and done, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Hey, thank you all for joining me on this episode, and tune in for the next one for another exciting time. And I know, considering that for next time we will be talking about the Across the Spider-Verse trailer, so I know that it will also be an anticipated episode. But with all that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for joining me on this, and don't forget to go and subscribe to me on both Twitch and on YouTube, and also to go and follow me on whatever podcast service that you are listening on. So with all that said, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes.